Yes, it is. Unapologetically Strong on WOVU 95.9 FM. What's going on? It's another Wednesday. Welcome to the third week of the month. This is brother to brother time. So we got my man on the line. What's going on?
What's going on, sir?
I like to introduce Dorian. So before I attempt to say your last name, give us the story behind your last name.
Cool. So I was biologically born with the last name Brown to begin my first 18 years of life. That was my mother's last name. And when I turned 18, I said, you know what? I really want to change my name to something I felt like that had more meaning, right? That had more Afrocentric bloodline-ish. And so, and so my dad's last name is Maholawade, spelled Mahulawde. And so he, it was his last name. And I said, you know what, Dad, I think I want to change my last name to yours. And I did so at the age of 19 when I didn't own a whole bunch of things. So that was the good part.
How many letters is that?
9? Yeah, 9 letters. There we go.
You
9.
went from Brown, right?
Yep, went from 5 regular old Brown to Maholawade. So it's definitely it's definitely been a journey. It means a king has settled a dispute, and I tell people that when I changed my name, my life began to change and began to manifest in a different direction. So I believe names have meaning and provide value to our lives.
All right, say it one more time. It means a king has what?
It means the king has settled a dispute.
Has settled the dispute. I like that. Mm-hmm. And so pronounce it again.
Maholawade.
Maholawade. Now, I have to be honest. I don't think I ever have pronounced it correctly.
It's okay.
So I know that for a fact. I am in good company.
You're not the first.
Right. The first time that I met you, that was, when you told me that story, it wasn't the first time actually. We had been working together for at least 2 years. We had been working together for 2 years before you told me that story. And that's, the idea of a name is just amazing. And I appreciate you sharing that with us. So today is technically our third or fourth, what is it called? Brother to brother, which is a byproduct or derivative of Minority Men's Mental Health Program, which is housed at Mental and Emotional Wellness Centers of Ohio, located in Independence. And so you are also what we call a counselor as well, right?
Yeah. That is that's my main, 9 to 5 job.
That's your 9 to 5?
My main 9 to 5. I specialize in working with men and with couples. Okay. So that's a lot of the work that I do.
Got you.
Just being there for clients to walk through their internal world, as we call it.
Yeah, you mess around with them couples. So that couples work, bruh, is so, and that's going to eventually bounce us into just this idea of malehood and understanding men. Absolutely. Because when working with men, we work with men primarily at our practice. So it's one of the few practices that has 5 black males? I think it's
4.
4? Okay, 4 black males. So we're one of the few that have the opportunity to actually just work, in the capacity as clinicians with black men, as well as my primary caseload is black men. Yeah. What about yours?
Yeah, same. Maybe 90% of my caseload is
black men.
Yeah, it's black men, and I got a few other minorities sprinkled in there. But
yeah, you got a couple other minorities. But yeah, one of the weirdest things is when working with black men. I remember when I first started in the game, right? Yeah. We got to call it the game. When I first started in the game, I was always just amazed by the amount of black men that literally lacked the community of other black men. and just in a healthy way, right? So we had crews, right? And Ivra and I talked about this last time, this concept of outgrowing your crew. So we had crews, but this idea that once you get past a certain point, because we don't work for an agency, we work for a private practice, which means we get a different caliber of Black men, right? These are people that really want to do their work. So one of the things that I notice is what I'm amazed by are the amount of Black men that just simply lack the words of emotions.
Yeah, I mean, I would 100% agree with that. I mean, you know, the amount of men who've come to my office and, you know, you ask them how they feeling and they say good.
Right.
And I was like, well, good is not emotion, so give me something else, right? And they would talk about, hey, in my household, I wasn't allowed to use emotional words, saying I feel sad or mad, right? That, you know, in the spaces that a lot of, you know, the men that we serve grew up in, they weren't allowed to display emotions, right? Other than just happiness. Right. And so
not even happiness? Or okay.
Like that was the only emotion that was okay.
Okay, I
right?
got you.
You couldn't be mad.
You couldn't be angry.
Be sad.
Right. You couldn't do none of that.
But you could be happy. You could be joyful. You could be calm, I guess, peaceful. Those were acceptable emotions. And so, you know, when, you know, the men come, you know, to our office to have conversations with us is really revealing that there's this other part of themselves that they don't talk about with anybody. Sometimes, you know, once again, we're looking at sometimes age demographics, but I find majority of men when they get past, say about maybe 40s, get to that 50, they are close to retirement, but not quite retiring. They've had friends for a long period of time, but they are, their wives are really the person that they lean on. Right. But even their wives, they don't tell everything to. Right. And their friends, you know, they drink, they go out and go to the Browns game or the Cavs games together, or the baseball games, but they don't talk to them in those intimate ways and really talk about it and feelings.
Do you find the intersection of opening up sometimes gets in the way of the intersection in appearing to be soft or appearing to be, you know, down low or appearing to be something?
Absolutely. I mean, to me, the theme or the belief is that when a male talks about, you know, their feelings, that they get this thought like, you're less than, or you're simply asking for help, and you know that's just not something that is looked upon, right, in a highly important way.
What's crazy is I think so. Back in the day, we had Boondocks, right? Which was a cartoon. And one of the things that they used to do was they would say no homo. Like when no, seriously. When a guy goes to open up, or you talk about caring for another guy, or you talk about loving, or you talk about any of that, from the cartoon used to be, and they didn't get it from the cartoon. Let's be real. They got it from the streets. Absolutely. But you,
my man Riley,
Riley, right. You got to say no homo, right? So now we say no Diddy.
Wow. I don't think he's gonna bring that up.
But no, that's just crazy because that's that intersection that I talk about, to where we really need this connection as Black men. But because of our socialization, we lack the ability to do it in a way that does not promote some unhealthy ideas about masculinity.
I mean, I think connection is one, but I think for a lot of men that, you know, we see in our office, it's permission. I think to me that's where they have to give themselves permission to display the feelings. And then from there, then possibly a connection could happen with other men who may feel similarly. But, you know, to your point, and to kind of a bigger scale, then you find men kind of operating in these silos. A lot of my male clients are operating 100% in these silos. I could have a professional man in his late 30s, CEO of a company, and another man who's a laborer dealing with the exact same dynamics. And it's just like, man, if I could just put all y'all in the room together. Right. And we could simply just give you permission.
That's the crazy part. They won't, though. So we have so many barbershops, right? So now with this, and what I mean is not necessarily the place that you go get your hair cut. We have areas by which they call them, you know, in order for men to come together, right? First of all, what I've noticed, We got barbershops, we got cigar bars, we have man caves. So these three names is in order to get men out to actually just talk about who they are. You gotta use one of these terms.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's
which is stupid.
I mean, because I'm gonna say it this way. It does sound stupid. Like we got to bribe men to come on and talk. But if we think about the nature and where men have been conditioned, we're not conditioned to just open up to your feelings. That's why for some of my individual women clients that I see who, express having issues with their husband or, hey, my husband won't talk to me. And she's like, I'm always asking him how you feeling. And I said, don't ask him how he feels. Ask him what he's thinking. Right. Because we're not conditioned to just say, let's just talk about our feelings. Let's just we're not,
what's weird was, and I made this joke when you came in, we have, that book of, what is it, the 48 Powers? I can't remember.
48 Laws of Power.
48 Laws of Power. And what it basically does is deal with human nature. So you and I deal with human nature on an everyday. That's literally what we do. Absolutely. Is human nature. And what you basically stated was, and this is also in the 48 Powers, the thing, I can't even say it correctly, but I read it. You have to trick people into doing the thing that you want them to do.
Right.
And it's just sad that it's just that blatant. Yeah. That unless we have barbershop, unless we have man cave, what's the other one? The cigar bar or whiskey bar. We can't get black men together to just have a discussion. To literally just have a discussion about their emotions.
But black men are men in general are tangible.
What you mean? Yes.
Right. They're like, I need to see, right? Yes. Like, hey, I'm building something. I need to see this. But so what we're asking them to do is
have you ever seen videos of this though? Because they're literally sitting in a circle, which is from what we do, right?
Absolutely.
They're sitting in a circle, right? So you go on IG, you check out a couple of these pages. I'm not going to name any, right off. Yeah, sure. But you go on IG, you check out a couple of these pages, you look at the man cave, or you look at the barbershop, or you look at what they're doing.
Cigar lounge.
The cigar lounge. They're literally doing exactly how mental health professionals run a group. They're doing the exact same thing.
But it's in a different setting.
But it's in a different setting. But it's not necessarily in a different setting because it's just a wide open space. Yeah. It's just, it's in a different location. Right. And what I mean by location, because the setting is chairs around it. Location is it got to be in a barbershop because that's what we got, especially as black men. Or it got to be in a cigar bar. Do you smoke cigars?
I do not.
I don't either. Do you drink whiskey?
I don't.
So you would not be welcome. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway,
I've been to plenty of those places, and what's ironic that I've gone
or gentlemen's club.
I've gone to a lot of those places that have those social interactions, but not have partaking in the.
I would tell this story. So back in Akron, we used to have a strip bar down in Akron. It's not there anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna
and you went to Akron, I went to Akron, and we far away from that. So there used to be this strip bar, right? And so Akron, if you don't know, they have a law school. The only thing they don't have is a medical school. So they have everything else except for actual medical school. And ironically enough, a stripper used to stay above me. In my brownstone. So I stayed on Brown Street. Stripper stayed above me in my brownstone.
You stayed on Brown Street, okay.
Right.
Bringing back memories, all right? Cool.
And so, I mean, we was in college, so she would get back at like 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, right? And one day I was just like, how does this work? Now, she was in law school.
Wow.
Right. It was the stereotypical, right? She was working through school. She was in law school.
Sure.
It was everything that you've ever heard, like stereotypical about not every stripper is just some, person that's out there that don't necessarily or have daddy issues or whatever have you, right?
Yeah.
So this one just so happened to be she was in law school. So whatever the name of the Akron's law school was, right? And I asked her, I said, so let me ask you, I said, so you get the dollars, but where do you get the most money? And she was like, E, let me tell you, I get the most money from dudes that just want to sit down and talk to me.
Wow.
Right? So they're paying her $20, $50, $100. Now, mind you, this is the 90s, right? This is the 90s. They're paying this woman, right? Great looking woman too. Great looking woman. Paying this woman $20, $50, $100 to just literally just talk and hold them.
Yeah.
Right, hold them.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Just, no, seriously.
Sure.
And I thought for forever, that has, prior to actually working with in the mental health field, forever, that has actually been something that blew my mind. But since working in the mental health field and understanding certain, what we're allowed to do as Black men and what we're not allowed to do, that made perfect sense.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense now. So we're going to take a quick break. And on the other side, I want to hear your 2 cents about that. Okay. So we're going to take a quick break. This is Unapologetically Strong on WOVU 95.9 FM. Welcome back, Unapologetically Strong. Only before we jumped out on our break, we was talking about the stripper that lived above me, who was getting paid buku dollars just to hug men. Yeah. But so today, just like so every third Wednesday, we got Brother to Brother. We missing one Ivra. He had to go out of town, so shout out to Ivra and his family. So they headed out. But every third Wednesday of the month, we're gonna get on here and we're gonna talk strictly men. Doesn't necessarily have to be Black men, but strictly men. So this is a part of the Minority Men's Mental Health Program with Mental and Emotional Wellness Centers of Ohio. Not to be confused with the Minority Men's Program with Dr. Motlin. This is the Minority Men's Mental Health Program. I got to get loud on that. I got loud. Yeah, I got loud on that one. Mental Health Program. And this is something housed within Mental and Emotional Wellness Centers of Ohio. If you are struggling, you can give us a call at 216-282-3733. And as we talked about, we got 4 Black men. Yes. We have Quinn, who is a Black woman. We have Sydney, who is not Black. Right. She is a minority in our practice because she's white. Oh, wow. You didn't know Sydney was white?
No, I mean, knew Sydney was white, but yes.
She is a minority.
Looking at her as a minority,
she is.
Which is true.
Yeah. So we one of the few. So it is only befitting that, that we talk about or, with a practice that has that opportunity to service so many men, so many Black men. And, absolutely. Because the caseload, and although once again, I am Black, I do not believe that you only need to talk about your struggles with Black people. Mm-hmm. In most cases, talking about your struggle with Black people can get annoying because they think they know everything. Mm-hmm.
That can be the case sometimes. That can be the case.
Anyway, so did you have it you went to Akron too?
I did.
And you may or may not know about the strip spot that they used to have down there.
I think by the time I got there,
I think it was on the west side or north side, whatever.
By the time I got there.
Yeah. But yes, you made a face about the amount of money that this woman is collecting just simply from men having the ability to just emote. Sure. Now, the easy answer is because they say you pay strippers to leave, not to stay. And so in many cases, I could imagine that the men were just paying this woman just for the presence and to be able to listen. Yeah. What you think?
Yeah, I mean, when I heard the story, the first thing I thought of is they're paying to be comforted. Yeah. Right. And, if we look at that dynamic, there's a connection that happens between men and women that is just different with men and other men. Right. Right. And so I think that too tells me that, okay, they're comforted, right? They want to be comforted and they desire to be comforted, but it's also to be comforted by, somebody who represents, not necessarily that they have a connection with, but represents that possible connection for them. Yeah. Right. And so that need or void can be maybe fulfilled temporarily, right? Until she's gone. Yeah. And then they have to go home and deal with maybe some other things. And so those are the things that kind of just came to mind. And then the other thing too is, I guess, we think about the stigma of mental health and what that looks like. Right. Like if you tell people you're going to counseling, people just automatically think like,
but you can go to the strip club though. Spend that check. Right.
So you can. Right. But there's, and once again, it's a generalization, but some people say, hey, if you go to counseling, there's something wrong. Or sometimes people think like, oh, you're going to counseling, that's great. Like this is a great resource for you, right? People who've had positive experiences. Yeah. Right? So yeah, I mean, I think setting matters.
Yeah.
Environment matters.
Right.
And if you get comfort and connection in a place that you deem is both environmentally safe,
right,
and the setting is right for you, that there's probably no price that you may not be willing to pay.
Yeah, I think it's wild. So one of the hypermasculinity aspects is the amount of people that you sleep with. So we're not, one of the going back to the stripper, the idea, you can pathologize that. You be like, oh, he got mommy issues or this and that or whatever have you. Yeah. But I like how you said it was just comforting. A lot of times we don't necessarily pathologize cheating.
Right.
So we don't actually look at cheating from a different scope. So in most cases, cheating is not about sex. Cheating is literally about getting your needs met.
Absolutely.
And some people find it, that is a sense of power over them. The other thing is it's their easiest way to get comfort when the individual that they're in a relationship with no longer has the ability to comfort them in the way that they need to.
Yep.
So,
yep. I mean, I think that's spot on. I mean, once again, a lot of the men that I see, some are struggling with infidelity. And we talk about, okay, well, what is the core need that you're trying to get fulfilled?
Yeah.
And for a lot of men, not every single one of them, but a lot of their needs are just emotional.
Yeah.
Hey, I need somebody to be here in a way that makes me feel like I matter, or make me feel like I care, or I need to feel like I'm in control.
I think the easiest thing to look at is how can I say this? Because men are tangible, just like you said.
Yep.
And I think the easiest thing to look at is the quality of the individual they're cheating on, right? So a lot of times when I work with clients and, the cheated on person, they'll say, well, this person doesn't look better than me. So what do they do?
Yeah.
One, they listen.
Yep.
Two, they accommodate.
Right.
Three, they understand their position.
Yeah.
And that is like that last one, their position, because a lot of times these individuals who are side pieces or whatever, they're not actually looking to be the main one because they get more benefit.
Yeah. Yeah. They literally get probably more tangible benefits, right? Without the emotional turmoil of what it could be like when you're actually trying to, be in a official relationship or form a connection with somebody. They don't have to worry about that.
Because it's hard. I mean, it's literally hard to attempt to get an individual to actually listen to what you need.
Yeah.
Right. And depending on the amount of history that you have within that relationship, and also the history within that person that you're in a relationship with, you may never get what you need. And so this relationship that you're a part of, a lot of times, is necessity. Right. So this individual that you're in a relationship with, y'all got half a house, y'all got 2 babies, and y'all got a business. If I leave that, I'm going to lose. So let me go get my emotional needs met from somewhere else. And I truly believe that individuals don't pay attention or pathologize. And when I say pathologize, I'm not saying it from a negative level, but look a little bit more deeper into what really is going on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you think about those experiences, at least from a male perspective, and look at how men have been conditioned since you were small, having your virginity at 18 years old was like, oh man, like, you're supposed to get rid of this thing as fast as possible. Right. But the other thing is too, and conversations I even have with my own son, even now at 11 years old, are these conversations that, having sex is actually something you got to be ready for.
Exactly.
Right. And for a lot of men, a lot of men haven't had that conversation with their fathers, or there's just like, hey man, do what you do. But there's no conversation to say, hey, are you emotionally ready? Because to me, what happens is when they're not, then it becomes a coping mechanism. So I don't drink, I don't smoke, but when I'm feeling bad, I'm going to call up XYZ or a girl from college that you used to know, and we just gonna make it a situation.
Right.
And I don't have to deal with all these other things over here. Right. I can just kind of keep living my life.
And that's the crazy part, what you said, and I love that you said that. Cheating is literally just, like I said, now we're not talking about a pathological, we're not talking about a sociopath, we're not talking about, a sadist, we're not talking about a, and I hate to use this word, but in our business, we use this word, a narcissist. Yeah. I'm literally talking about the average everyday Joe that is literally just trying to make life happen. The coping mechanism sometimes is cheating. Yeah. And at a high percentage is someone that they're working with. Absolutely. It's someone that they come in contact with, because what is happening is at home, I can't spill this. Sure. Right. But at work, I can spill this because I'm there 8 hours times 40 plus whatever. Yep. So I like that you use that word coping and that concept of a coping mechanism to simply deal with the world. I'm not going to drink. Right. I'm not going to smoke. Right. I'm not going to gamble. Yeah. I'm not going to do any of that. But I am going to, when I feel, quote unquote, some type of way, I'm gonna step out.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll add too is that what I've found, even with a lot of my male clients, who come to me with this particular issue of infidelity, they're just consequences. Yeah, and we talk about
it's 100% consequences.
What are those consequences? Right? Because
even if you don't get caught,
right? Go
ahead.
And that's the reality.
Go
even
ahead.
if you don't get caught, what's happening for you? Yeah, right. When you are mesh your internal worlds with somebody else, right? What is happening over time? Right? Is there a divide that's happening in your actual relationship? Does this prevent you from being emotionally capable to or have the capacity to be there for your own children, right? In whatever way that looks like, because nobody was there for you. Like, what is that?
Right.
What is so like I talk about with my clients, what does that look like for your familiar life, for your relationships, for your career, right? What could you be putting your energy into? What are other ways you can get your needs met, right? That don't have to end in this I call it kind of like a high, right? Yeah. To me, it's like a coping mechanism.
It is
like
a high.
You're drinking or you're smoking or whatever, but then it dies down after some time, right? You got to do something else.
It's literally dopamine. Exactly. So in our practice, right, in our profession, we have to look at this thing called neurotransmitters. It's dopamine. Right. It's literally chasing that high. And cheating at times can be that. But if I go back to what we said at the beginning of this segment, we were talking about comforting. Right. And what most men, because we are tangible, we're simply looking for comfort. So we're gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna come back to this idea, because I like that you broached, because you got kids, you got boys, I got I got 2 boys, you got a boy, and explaining this idea of connectivity and comforting to the little people, which is really difficult. So let's take a quick break. This is Unapologetically Strong on WOVU 95.9 FM. Welcome back, Unapologetically Strong. This is our Brother to Brother segment. Every third Wednesday, brought to you by Mental and Emotional Wellness Centers of Ohio, a part of their men's initiative, which is Minority Men's Mental Health Program. So before we left, we talked about cheating, right? I mean, I know it was only 40-some seconds ago. We talked about cheating, but I think to go back to this idea of comfort. So I got 2 boys, right? My oldest son is 25. My youngest is 11. Your son is 9?
11.
11 now? Okay.
Yep, 11, and I got a boy in the way.
Congratulations.
And a girl in the middle.
You're right, and a girl in the middle. So, which I find myself playing the duality, right? So I have to raise a young male to be the best version of a young male. And then I am working, theoretically, right? So we're not doing it every day. We're working, in order to assist my daughter with having purpose so that she can, be drawn, purpose-driven people can be drawn to her, and she can recognize a good one, a person that has a good purpose.
2 different dynamics.
Right, which is two different dynamics. So,
absolutely.
So let's go back to this comfort thing. Yeah. How is in your household, right? You have 11-year-old.
Yep.
I have a 15 and a 25-year-old, and he's out obviously the 25-year-old is not obvious. He's out of the house.
Yeah.
But he's out of the house. And talk a little bit about how you're attempting to teach your son this idea of comfort.
Yep.
As well as finding community to get comfort, because men are tangible.
Yeah.
The stripper was paying to be present, physically present. The individual you're cheating on, which is not about sex, but sex is tangible.
Right.
That's tangible.
It's about what it represents.
Exactly. So how are you working with your son in this idea of comfort and being comforted in healthy communities?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we're working on, just me just being transparent right now, is just getting him to ask for help.
Okay.
Getting him to ask for help, right? So when he's struggling emotionally, right, or there's something that he can't do, can you talk to us?
Okay.
Right. And so that is, in the space that he's in, because, my son is where he is. He struggles emotionally, right? To hey, Dad, I'm feeling sad. I don't really know why. Okay, well, let's talk about it, right? So we try to just provide space so that you can talk about your feelings, right? Try to put words to those emotions that you are experiencing, right? Be willing to kind of explore, right? So that's us being physically present with you. And then at the end of the day, my son likes to be tucked in at night. He likes a hug. And for all of my manliness that tells me, you don't need no hug, you'll be all right, I fight that urge to say, you know what? It's cool, son. Bring it in. Because one day he won't want a hug from me. And one day he won't want to be tucked in. One day he may not look to me to tend to his needs in that way. And so I try to show up for him in a way that I think is different from what I was seen or shown. Right. And showing that affection, right? Providing that space. And then also just letting him know that it's okay. It's okay for you to be frustrated, but it's not okay for you to punch walls or throw chairs or do anything aggressive, right? Because we know as older Black men what that turns into and what that looks like. Yeah. Right? Aggression is not going to be the way that we're going to cope with any of the distress that we're experiencing in our bodies. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. And the crazy part is even when you're doing those things, throwing, right? When you're being aggressive, you're still just simply you're coping, which means you're looking for comfort. Absolutely. As all humans, we're literally looking for comfort. Yeah. The weird part about it is we've never learned anything valuable in life comfortable. Right. So when we're learning new skills, when we're learning new things. So that's why when you see a young man being aggressive, right, you go into that. So what is this aggression getting? What is this aggression getting you? Right. Right. You go from that level and you promote education in that moment. But the sad part about it is not everybody who are males are getting that same thing. Because in reality, a person that of the same age, right, same body type, same build, two different races, aggression looks different. One is just he's just being a little boy trying to, explore the world. The other one is that's a budding criminal. Yeah.
Yeah, and those two things are look differently, right? That's why one thing I harp on with my son is that no, we're not gonna be aggressive. We're gonna actually talk about our feelings. Okay, hey, are there other things we can do? Can we breathe? Can we walk? Can we run? Can we go outside and shoot hoops on the basketball? Right? Can we find other ways, right, to get that physical exertion out? Once again, that's not an aggressive way, and so I mean, it's definitely challenging. I think to me, when I first had my son, I was really scared. Yeah. Because to me, raising a son is scary. It's scary as a Black man.
It's scary as hell.
Right. So it's scary to try to raise another Black man. Yeah. And two, just from my personal perspective, I'm raising him to be different. Now, my father was there for me my entire life. Right. Maybe there are moments and times where he couldn't be for whatever reason, but he didn't have a dad.
Right.
So although I think he was a good dad, I think that he could have made some improvements.
Right.
So, right. Like
bro,
any other person.
You could have did a little better.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
And when and let me be specific, I mean better in the emotional intelligence category.
Yeah.
Right. Showing up and talking about our emotions and what we are feeling.
Right.
Right. Very like, hey, let's do your schoolwork, very disciplined, very structured. That works. Yeah. But when it comes to just communicating about your emotions, I think I'm light years ahead of my dad.
Yeah.
And so,
but so this is where my pushback is. Mm-hmm. So it's two things. One,
sure,
the world was for black men were more dangerous than it was right now. Now,
okay,
I'm just saying.
Sure.
Right?
Actually, you know what? That's legitimate.
So that's one.
Sure.
The second thing is it was a different generation in the understanding of emotion. And I think far too often us, and you see online all these culture wars, right? Mm-hmm. Right. You got Gen X, Gen Z, Millennium, Alpha, whatever, right? They're going baby boomers, right? Yeah. They're going back and forth about who's the best or whoever or whatever have you. But what is missed is if you were a black male in the 50s, 60s, if you were a black male then, even born, and doing your thing around that time, it was a little bit more dangerous in certain areas. And two, because you were X amount of removed from not emancipation, but not even Reconstruction, but just segregation laws and whatnot, and stuff like that. Just because you're a certain generation moved, right? Women only got the right to vote in 1920 and all that other good stuff, right? Right. You're being raised by individuals that had to fight in a certain way, and emotions were not. You didn't have time for that. Yeah.
And you know what, that's legitimate. Yeah, I could definitely see that being in the space. And I mean it's hard to be something you haven't seen.
Yeah.
If that
No. So because you only got it from where? From women.
Right.
And then that only happened in the house. Yep. It didn't happen out in public.
Yeah. So I mean, I obviously for myself personally, I feel fortunate that at least I have a blueprint to work off of, right? Yeah. My son will have a blueprint and another blueprint to kind of work from to say, hey, Dad, you were a great dad in so many ways, but there were other ways that maybe I can improve that, he'd be saying the same thing in some similar shape, form, or fashion. And I'm sure at some point in time when he grows up to be an adult, the conversation will just look different.
Have a real, and was weird. So my oldest son is 25. So prior to him getting out. So we have a mixed family, right? Yeah. So shout out to everybody that's listening. I got to get shout outs before I get in trouble. Okay. Grandma Ellen, what's up? I see you listening. Okay. Joy, what's up? Shout out to the Smith family, right? So Latricia, she is the mother of Christian. Okay. Right. And we met in college. Yep. And even, once, we had the baby, there were certain things that I didn't want. One, I wanted a girl because I was afraid to be a father to a male. So that was one. Secondly, I knew that we needed to raise this kid in a way that was going to promote positivity. Absolutely. So a lot of the things such as baby mama drama, I never dealt with that. I never had any of that. Wow. And it was a blessing. She was, she's smart, intelligent, amazing. Sure. And we never dealt with that. We had struggles. Yeah. That 18 years, but I didn't have that stuff. Yeah. With that said, I was a different type of person during that time while fathering. Yeah. And I used to always tell my son, I said, you will not get a chance to see the real me until you get older. Yeah. Right. So he turned 18. Yep. Right. Child support was last payment on that. Boom, boom. Hey, anyway, turned 18. Turned 18. Yeah. We had a meeting of men. I said, just so that you know, moving forward, you're going to see a different dad. Right. A lot more things are going to become clear to you. Who I am as a person is going to be shown to you. Mm-hmm. Now, it was interesting. My kids that are in my house now, they get to fool me, but he didn't. Yeah. And so not till years later, he came and was like, Dad, I get it. Yeah. I see what you were doing. And just recently, he texted me. It was like, Dad, I need some advice, right? Sure. He needed some advice with him and his young lady and this and that. Trying to figure things out. Right. Yep. And so I hung up the phone. I was like, man, right? I was talking to Joe. I was like, oh, oh man, I finally got it.
Yeah.
But it was amazing because he saw all of me. Right. He saw when I used to be homeless. He saw when I had no degrees. Right. He saw all of that. And so in many ways, he got the opportunity to see the full dad, the dad that my kids don't get. Yeah. And so when I'm teaching him how to comfort himself, it looks different because I have a different type of
mentality.
Not only that, but reference, because he saw a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true.
Everything that I'm telling my son, who's 15, who's Joy just, because apparently I said he was 11. He's 15. Everything that I'm telling him is abstract because he doesn't know that dad.
Yeah.
The only dad that he knows is the dad that started with him in 15, which, because his brother is 25, his brother got 10 years ahead and got different iterations of dad. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me.
I mean, I think, especially when you have children, has a 10-year gap. I mean, my children are going to be the same. Yeah. The same dynamic. My son will be 25 and the two younger ones will be 15 and 14. Right. So I'm the you, but 10 years ago. Right. But so, and what's funny is when we were we have our third baby on the way and whoop, whoop. My son said to me, he was really sad about it. He said, Dad, I just feel like you guys are going to forget about me. Yeah. And it was valid, right? And this is that moment. Yeah. And part of me was like, I really don't want to deal with this right now. But I was like, hey, Dorian, you need to be present. You need to just be here because this moment may not come back around. Let's take full advantage. So I said, so we sat down on the bed. Said, sit down, son. Let's talk. Put my arm around him. Yeah. And I said, man, you're special, man. Right. Because you're the first. Right. I said, you enabled me to be the best parent I could be. Exactly. To your sister and brother who ain't even here yet. Yeah. Right? I said, you're the person who taught me about life and how to be a parent. I said, without you, hey, they may not be here. Right. And so, I said, because we love you, your mother and I decided to have, more children, but it was through your experience that I love that. I said, you're special. He's like, really, Dad? I said, you the archetype, brother. Right. I said, you always gonna have because you number one. Right. Number one, always got a special place. I said, you won't be my favorite son anymore, but you'll be my favorite oldest son. That's right.
And you know what? I love that because I told my oldest one, you helped me grow up, right? You helped me be the male I needed to be. Absolutely. And I tell my middle, I'll line them up and be like, Christian helped me grow up. Sure. Right? EJ gave me the opportunity to be a father. Yep. And Katie, to be perfectly honest, she showed me what unconditional love is. So let's take a quick break on that and come back on the other side. And then, that last segment, we got to land the ship. We got to figure out how we going to help these brothers comfort each other in a way that is most helpful. So we're going to take a quick break. Ooh. This is Unapologetically Strong on WOVU 95.9 FM. Welcome back. Unapologetically Strong on this Brother to Brother, brought to you by Mental and Emotional Wellness Centers of Ohio, which is a part of our Minority Men's Mental Health program located at our practice in Independence. All right. So we got to land this ship. Just like what's crazy. You say exactly what everybody else say, which I'm gonna go ahead and take as a compliment. Mm-hmm. Right. It doesn't seem like it's almost been an hour. No. Right. We've been 10 minutes. Right. So I really appreciate that. And that's just a testament of you, being here, being able to, talk about all this. All right. So this concept of comfort, we started off on this idea that, Black men in our practice, are not finding that comforting group, right? Even one of my clients, and I said this a couple weeks, last month, one of my clients was like, I don't know how to find a community because the community that I am in now, I feel unsafe. One of their friends had died and another friend let him die. And it was, he came in, he made it, right? He graduated from high school, graduated from college, got his master's degree, is administrative educator. He has a house. He has a daughter. He has a significant other. He did everything that he was supposed to do, but he doesn't have a community to help comfort him. And so the only way that I knew something was up is that this bro came in and his hair was wild, right? And he was looking haggard, right? He was looking toe down. And I was like, are you all right, dude? Yeah. And he was like, I just got to be real with you, man. He was like, my barber died, right? And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, well, my barber's my friend. And so he went into the story. Okay. And he was like, I don't know what to do because I don't know where to go get my hair cut. And so that's why what I heard was, I don't know what to do because I don't know where to get that comfort again. Right. And that's how we got to talking about crew and how he feels unsafe around his crew, because how can someone who's in his crew who he, thought was there for him, let this dude die like this? Wow. And so we got to figure out a better way to do this. Right. We got it. I mean, we don't. You and I, it ain't our job. Right. But we got to be a part of the solution.
Yeah, we're contributors.
Right. We got to be a part of the solution. Yeah. So what's your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, I think that it starts with providing spaces and places where Black men can go and they can just truly be their authentic selves and show up in whatever way that looks like. Yeah. Right. Oftentimes, men are worried about their perception from others.
What we look like.
How they look, how they dress, how they're perceived, voice, tone, dictation, and all those things. And so I think it's getting men to a place where they can just solely just be them, right, without the other things that they may have to kind of carry, right, without maybe the responsibility of being dad or brother or husband or any of those things. They can just show up and just be them.
And it's crazy the amount of hats that people walking back and forth, you have no clue, right? Oh, yeah. So we got, so this is what's crazy. Mm-hmm. Every Black male is a son, but may not be a brother. Yep. Which means that the idea of working with someone in close proximity, right, sibling groups, may not be something that they feel close to, right? Wow. So I'm my only child. Mm-hmm. I had to learn what individuals who have sibling groups learn, how not to give a F. Right. I had to let stuff roll off my back and just know when it was time to actually assert myself. Yeah. Because as an only child, there's nobody there
to do that with.
Right. So I assert myself all the time. Right. Yeah. But there are times when if you are a son, you may not be a brother, that you got to learn that. Yeah. Right. And so I don't know, because you got a twin. Right. I do. That's different. You literally had to learn how, there was never nothing else belongs to you. So
nah. Eventually I got to a point where I'm just like, all right, this we need to be adults here. We need to grow up. But kind of getting back to your idea of comfort, I guess I wonder, if maybe counseling is not always that space.
Yeah, I don't think so.
What does it look like? What does community look like? I mean, now you and I are part of, historically Black fraternities.
Correct.
I feel like those spaces are spaces where you can go for comfort. Right. But even those spaces obviously come with some other
challenges.
There we go. And that may be happening in this space as well. So
that's the part. So go back. So what's interesting, and it goes back to your personality. It goes back to your desire. It goes back to, are you constantly seeking comfort? Because there are individuals that are more equipped to handle the life of being you're an alpha, I'm a sigma, right? Sure. Because there's certain things that happen when you first go to pledge, right? Mm-hmm. You have to learn how to work with other individuals. Absolutely. If you are not an individual who has ever had to do that, and these individuals are other Black males, right? Absolutely. You have to live with those Black males. You have to count on, in other words, trust. Absolutely. And one of the things that I know personally I needed to do in my adulthood over these past, 20 years is learn how to trust Black males. I've been in a frat for 25 years. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. I remember, and I was the president of the line and all that, but I didn't trust these cats. I was literally online for myself, which is not how it's supposed to go.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it goes back to your personality. So one, we were talking about, your organizations. Two, we were talking about places where, Black men gather.
Yep.
All right. What else? It's not good radio. You sitting there thinking.
Nah, I'm just trying to.
It's live, bro.
But yeah, no, you're good. No, I'm just trying to think of other events.
Yeah.
The other thing I think too that could happen, things that could probably build more community is like, once again, like let's just say that if you have maybe an associate at work that, you may like to go on walks with at the park just to get some exercise to go work out with, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, part of it could be your personality, and that you need to, if you desire connection, that I'm a firm believer in intentionality.
Say it, come out of your comfort zone.
Right.
No, seriously,
right.
yeah.
In order to make things work, I wish that I could just wish for a connection and it could just boom happen.
Exactly.
But you have to cultivate that, right? And so we got to cultivate that on an individual level. Can I open myself up? Can I be willing to explore? Can I try?
Okay.
Right. And then that to me gets you to, okay, I can see this connection, or me and this person have some similarities. I think maybe I can build on this. But if you're not intentionally looking for it,
right,
then I don't think you'll be able to see it.
So let's combine. So when earlier we were talking about location and setting, the reason why I separated is because you can go to a barbershop, which is a location, and the setting isn't proper to open up and dialogue.
Absolutely.
And so when we're looking at being intentional about, going places, I really truly believe and I appreciate some of these barbershops and some of these gentlemen clubs and some of these man caves or, whiskey bars. Right. They're actually catered to men coming in and collaborating, which I think that we need more, because I'm gonna go back to your point. Mm-hmm. I do not believe everybody needs therapy. I do not believe that therapists are the only individuals that can help, this thing that we're talking about. Yeah. With that said, I truly believe that more therapists need to get out of their comfort zone. They need to get out their office. Yeah. They need to get off social media. Mm-hmm. They need to quit making one-liners, right? And posting them and literally get in the streets and be like, all right, so this is over here. Yep. So I'm about to go over here and I'm a volunteer at a church. I'm a volunteer, maybe a mosque or a synagogue, right? I'm gonna do more outside of the realm, because when we lead as mental health professionals, we lose a significant amount of individuals when we go to connect with them. Yeah. And I think far too often we do too much in office stuff and stop writing the books, stop writing the articles. Yeah. Right. Stop posting, get out and do something. What are you thinking? Yeah, no, I'm definitely in line with that. Right. Because when we go out to the community, you make those connections with people, it just feels different. Yeah. Right. I mean, we are helpers by profession. Correct. Right. And I would like to think that everybody who comes to me wants my help and desires my help, but there's nothing wrong with a therapist going outside of their realm to offer help to other people who may not have access to them on a daily basis, or offer help in other ways in other spaces that don't have to be coming from that therapeutic lens. So, yeah. So, first one, go around where men are. Yep. Second one, that's the third one, be more intentional. I can't think of what the second one was. For those that are mental health providers, get out of your office. Yep. The other thing that I want to add is this idea that it's supposed to look a certain way. Right. Growth is supposed to look a certain way. Sure. Growth can be something as simple as deciding once you wake up to eat something more healthy than unhealthy. Yep. Right. That's something that's simple, because I think, when we're doing, so if I'm going to add the last one, start small. Yeah, right. Absolutely. Do the small things well first. Absolutely. And pick something that you would like to find comfort in, whether it is eating different, whether it is speaking different, having more friends, and just do that one thing simply by, if you are in a work environment, you see someone who's also, that you would like to talk to, who's also a male, buy them a coffee. They're going to look at you as you weird, because our society says stick to yourself. Yeah.
It's the idea of like, get curious.
Get curious. And the more curious that you are, the more that you allow yourself to be open and honest.
Give yourself permission.
That's right. So that last one would be, also give yourself permission to be, comforted, because that's the key. Because that's all we do as therapists is comfort them. Sure. All right. So let's wrap this up. So I appreciate you guys coming out. I appreciate you guys listening. Yeah. This is Unapologetically Strong. This is Mental Health Awareness Month. So be aware of your mental health. We got next week, we got another guest. I can't remember who it is, but you can join me this weekend on May 18th at Men's Health Conversation at the East View United Church of Christ, and that is East View. So I appreciate you guys spending time with me. D, I'll catch you in a couple weeks.
Hey, appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Peace.